We are not our own. We are created and recreated by our relationships with our world, our family, our institutions, and our experiences. We are constantly born and reborn again. Earth forms us, air moves us, fire transforms us, water shapes us, earth heals us, and the circle of the world goes round and round, and the balance of the wheel goes round. As the seasons pass, we return to what we were, but each season of return, we are also new. As the season ends again and a new season begins, it's a time to reflect on how we will approach this season anew. We are reborn. The nights are getting cooler, the days are still warm, and we move closer to home. The shorter day creates longer evening hours, and for many, it marks the end of the summer and travel season. Homecoming leads us into the fall, marking the final days of freedom the summer provided. We know it's autumn. The shelves in stores are changing colors, and pumpkin spice is showing up. In Oregon, my home state, everyone is praying for rain as the dry land bursts into flame and smoke fills the air. All summer, the water in the rain barrels is a precious resource for our garden. We plan ahead so the rainwater from our house is gathered together in the rain barrels, flowing together. Then the rain from the barrels in turn feeds the garden. Our garden keeps me connected to the cycles of life, the longest day and the shortest day of the year, the solstices, and the days midway between the equinoxes, mark the turning of the year. Now, in the time of the fall equinox, the cucumber vines are dying, the tomatoes are putting out their last crop, and the butternut squash is being revealed, huge and almost ready to pick. Like us, the vegetation is returning home to the earth, ready to be reborn again. The earth, Gaia, gives us so much. Our planet is generous and resilient. The earth wants us to survive, and we need to give back to the earth, our home, our source of life as well. The yearly turning from season to season, being born and returning, being born again, also happens over generations. Generations within families, and the generations we refer to as boomers or Xers or millennials. We are formed by our family history, sometimes by following in footsteps, sometimes by rebelling. That history goes back generations. Congregations are formed by their family history too. Even a young congregation has parents and grandparents and is part of the larger family of the faith. Our Unitarian Universalist tradition goes back deep into history. We are not alone, but are surrounded by people like Ralph Waldo Emerson and Queen Teresa of Transylvania. Since the beginning of time, religions all around the world have marked these seasonal transitions with ritual and celebration. The season of harvest is recognized worldwide as a time to celebrate and reflect on the gifts of life. It is also a time to connect with the ancestors and the divine. All over Europe, when the harvest had been gathered, Harvest Home would be celebrated in a farmer's house. It was customary to use that last sheaf of grain to make a corn dolly, based on the belief that the vegetation spirit was contained within the doll. When the feasting was over, it was taken to the farmhouse and kept there to watch over the family until the next year and next Harvest Home supper. In Judaism, the fall harvest holiday is called Sukkot. The tradition is to create temporary shelters in remembrance of the hardships of the Israelite ancestors. At the same time, they celebrate the bounty of the harvest by gathering together with family, friends, and religious community for feasting and celebration. In Japan's Shinto tradition, the autumn festival, Akimatsuri, takes place over the fall months. The community gathers to offer thanksgiving for the incoming harvest, and the first fruits of the grain are offered to the deity of the sun. We exist in community. All these traditions are focusing on the bounty of summer being harvested to help us through the winter. But they acknowledge that there is more than just vegetables and grain being harvested. Gifts and blessings come in many forms. Our needs for the winter are not met with food alone. We need more. We need our community, our relationships with one another and with the divine. Those connections have been strained lately. The truth that some members of our communities are not treated as full citizens has become more widely recognized, and many of us are angry and feel the urgency to change that reality. And some of us have responded with fear or fragility or even anger that the truth has even been revealed. Relationships, even within families, are breaking. Humanity's years of disrespect for our home, the earth, has resulted in natural disasters and pandemic. We have been unable to connect in the usual ways, relying on Zoom and physically distanced connections. Now is the time to reaffirm and nurture our connections with our loved ones, to notice how we are related to peoples near and far, family and friends and strangers. As we name our tribes, may the circles always be drawn wider, ever widening circles of compassion. Institutions built for us. So why join together in a congregation? Why do we come together at this time of year? For some, it is singing the same songs. Maybe you come because it's a place where you are reminded that you matter, that you are lovable, or that you can make a difference in the world. Maybe it just feels good to see familiar faces. Maybe we come to be a part of a congregation, this congregation, because here you are a part of something bigger than yourself. And no matter what you decide to call it, that something bigger is made up of love. Now is the time to renew your commitment to that big love.